What's up, guys? So today on Grotto Garage we're going to be starting a little series here, tearing into the WRX. I got a little list over here I'll show you here in a sec, and I'm going to try to knock a few of these things out tonight while I have a little downtime. I should be editing photos, but I'd rather come out here and wrench. I'll see you here in a minute. So on today's episode, I'm going to be taking the battery out. I'm going to pull the washer fluid reservoir, pull the intercooler and some of the downpipe bolts. I'm also going to pull the power steering reservoir off. I'm going to pull the intake out. And if I'm feeling really crazy, I'm actually going to try to pull the radiator. It depends how I'm feeling here in a little bit. This normally would take me less than an hour, but because I'm shooting video too, it's going to take me probably twice as long. So this whole series is going to take me quite a while, but it should be fun. So let's start it. First, I'm going to start off by removing the battery tie down. Easy enough with only a 10mm wrench. Then just loosen the post terminals and it's out. Then onto the washer fluid reservoir, also a 10mm. A 12mm socket on a mini electric impact for the intercooler mounting bolts. Next, remove the breather hoses from the hardline attached to the intercooler. Loosen the turbo intercooler coupler, and bypass valve, and finally the throttle body coupler, and she's out. I'll go ahead and remove the passenger side intercooler bracket now. The turbo heat shield bolts are both 10mm, but you can also use a Phillips screwdriver. A couple 14mm wrenches for the 5 downpipe bolts. There's 2 up top here securing the heat shield bracket. One on this side. Another on this side, and one hiding below that I'll get to later. Next, I'll remove the Cobb SF intake cover. Unplug the mass airflow sensor, and then loosen the intake coupler to remove the filter. And finally, I'll remove the rest of the intake box. Loosen the alternator and power steering tensioner, the other alternator bolt, remove the power cable, undo the plug, remove the serpentine belt, and the alternator. I'll go ahead and get this driver's side intercooler bracket out of the way. Now I'm loosening the Grimspeed air oil separator and its hoses. And I'm putting the stock cap back on just to be safe. Grab the jack. lift the car up a little bit here. And one thing you absolutely never want to skip is to always use jack stands. Remove the petcock on the side of the radiator to drain the coolant.
What the hell? No, 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 no!
So as you just saw, I pulled the petcock out of the radiator and fluid went everywhere, and it went along the front subframe and got all over the place. I didn't have a big enough bucket to keep it all contained. So I spent the last 30 minutes or so cleaning up that mess. I dropped the car on the passenger side to even the car out, or level the car out, so that it would drain more out of the radiator and the system. So what I'm going to do now is put that petcock back in, and I'm going to pull the overflow reservoir by the turbo, pull that out of the way, and then I'm probably going to pull the radiator even tonight. Let's get back to this. Two 12mm bolts are holding the coolant expansion tank on. Just reminding myself here which hose goes where. And remove the hoses, making sure not to forget the hose underneath. Coolant overflow tank. Unbolt the two radiator stays. Don't forget to remove the radiator shroud bolts. Upper radiator hose. And then also the expansion tank hoses. Let's get this pesky throttle cable and cruise control situation out of here. And then finally, the radiator. So I went ahead and pulled the AC tensioner off. I don't know if it's going back on. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull all the air conditioning stuff out. Compressor, evaporator, condenser, and all that. And then the reason why I pulled went a little out of my own list order here. I pulled the radiator out of the way just because it's easy, because getting to one of these bolts on the power steering pump is a little bit difficult. So I just made my life 10 times easier. So now we're going to go ahead and pull the power steering pump off. A few bracket bolts, one on top, two in the front. And then move it out of the way for now. So to be honest, it's 2:30 in the morning, and I have accomplished everything I planned to accomplish today, but I'm not ready to go upstairs and clean up and go to bed yet, to be honest. So I'm just going to go through everything up here in the top and just start unplugging stuff, getting it prepped to pull. I'm gonna pull the starter off, and then next video we're going to go underneath the car and disconnect the exhaust, disconnect the drive shaft, disconnect the axles, and we should be ready to pull next video. We're going to pull the motor and trans out, so stay tuned. Undo the ground on the manifold and unplug the wiring harness. And now for the AC compressor bracket, which, as you can see, gave me a little bit of a hard time until I realized you need to unbolt the compressor from the bracket first. I went ahead and put the bracket bolts back where they go in the block because they're different and I didn't want to mix them up. Labeling and pulling the fuel feed and return lines. Time to remove the starter. And then finally, the heater core hoses will end my night. Well, it's a lot later than I want to admit, but that's okay. I got a lot done. I have pulled pretty much literally everything up top that I need to do, and all I literally have left is disconnect the drive shaft and pull it, disconnect the lower part of the downpipe and pull it, loosen the trans mounts, loosen the motor mounts, chain her up. She'll be ready to pull. I got another list over here of different parts that I have to order. I added more to my list of stuff to do. I'm also going to delete the air conditioning. I'm going to pull the trains apart because I have to pull the T-case off, the transfer case cover off, and figure out which bearing is howling. That's the main reason why I'm doing all this. And on top of it, because I have these are my stock TGVs. This is what they look like. Stock from factory, there's literally just this tiny little slit right in here for air to pass through, and then that's for cold start, idling. And then these open up and like this, and they're super restrictive. So what I did is took the factory ones and completely gutted them. I got one almost completely done. All I have to do is put bolts on each side where the motor, TGV motor used to be, and then that'll seal that off. And then I'm gonna do a video of me deleting deleting the other TGV and porting it and stuff like that. So that'll be kind of cool. So some of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to replace whatever bearings I need to replace in the transmission that are howling. I'm going to install a Walbro 255 fuel pump. I've had that sitting around for a couple of years now. That's been ready to go in. That requires no tuning, so I'm just going to throw it in. I need to order a whole bunch of gaskets, some brake fluid. I actually went ahead and pulled the clutch slave cylinder off. This rubber hose right here I'm replacing with a stainless steel braided hose for the clutch, so that'll feel a little better. Plus I'm going to get some brand new fresh fluid in the whole system there, so that'll be nice. I'm also going to flush the entire brake system. I'm going to order some stainless steel brake lines as well, new injector O-rings, and all the gaskets for the intake manifold. And I'm sure I'll have a lot more to do, but we'll update you when the time comes. So hope you like the video. It's a little something different. Hopefully you guys like it. Stay tuned for part 2. So I know I'm beating a dead horse, but like, subscribe, stay tuned for the next video, and peace.